Wildfire evacuations in the Northwest as a major fire approaches Sandy Lake First Nation. Good evening, I'm Ryan Benazzo. Over 1,700 evacuees considered highly vulnerable have begun to pass through Thunder Bay on their way to safety from Sandy Lake. This comes after a massive blaze quickly closed in on the remote community. Justin Hardy spoke with local coordinators and joins us in studio. Justin, what is the situation like in Sandy Lake right now?
Ryan, the fire came up way faster than anyone thought. 18 people were trapped by the blaze in a work camp between the fire and Sandy Lake First Nation. There wasn't an evacuation order in place when they went to work Saturday morning, but when the reportedly 200-foot tall flames began threatening workers, they took shelter in a metal shipping container.
I'm scared.
A video shared on social media by MPP Sol Mamakwa shows a scene of pure terror just outside of Sandy Lake First Nation this past weekend as 18 workers were trapped in a camp while the huge Red Lake Fire 12 charged toward the community. Luckily, these workers managed to make it out alive. Sigfuss in Northern, the employer of many of the workers, reports that the trapped workers were airlifted to safety. Sandy Lake First Nation and its roughly 3,000 residents received evacuation orders on Saturday. Prime Minister Mark Carney announced on social media that the Canadian military was stepping in to lend aid and fly people out of harm's way. The community's most vulnerable residents have begun arriving in Thunder Bay, but they will not be staying here. Instead, our city is acting as a hub where evacuees are awaiting further travel south, according to Deputy Fire Chief Dave Turini.
To my knowledge, there were originally 1,700 evacuees designated as vulnerable folks from the Sandy Lake community that will make their way, not all of them, mind you, but the majority of that will make their way through Thunder Bay on their way to Southern Ontario.
Currently, there are no plans to house any of the evacuees here, especially at the scale demanded by the population of Sandy Lake.
Capacity is always tight in Thunder Bay. This fluctuates from day to day, week to week, as hotel space and other space becomes available. Currently, all the previously hosted evacuees from Kashechewan and Niskandika have been repatriated back to their home communities. Thunder Bay as a municipality has not been designated as a host community at this time.
Justin Hardy, TBT News.
WSIB workers represented by CUPE are entering their third week on the picket line after the latest union proposal was rejected by the provincial agency. Today in Thunder Bay, the local picketers were joined by MPP Lise Vaugeois, the NDP critic for WSIB and injured workers.
Hang in, it's worth it, you deserve it, and we're here to support you all the way.
The province-wide strike action began on May 22nd. Both parties are working with a mediator trying to move the negotiations along. Topics brought to the table this weekend included wages, benefits, and staff workload. But those talks fell through, and if they remain stalled, the union and WSIB may be ordered into arbitration by the Labour Minister. Fiona McKenna, a return-to-work specialist with the agency, says that stalling is jeopardizing the businesses and the workers of Ontario.
We want to get back to work. We love our jobs. We're skilled professionals. We want a fair collective agreement that treats workers with respect at the WSIB and putting a stop to the conditions that cause burnout and the inability for us to do a good job with our workers and our employers.
When these workers can't bring their humanity to the job and have a sustainable workload, then they also can't give injured workers what they need at the other end. And what we've seen is the WSIB from the top end saving money on the backs of injured workers.
A release from WSIB today noted the agency continues to serve its clients during the strike. The City of Thunder Bay is currently looking for an operator for the temporary shelter village at Cam River Heritage Park. The request for proposal was sent out late last week, and companies need to have their bids in before June 25th. City Council approved the site along the Cam River after plenty of debate and the rejection of other potential sites. The modular housing complex is expected to accommodate 80 tiny homes with a maximum operating budget of $1.5 million a year. The bids need to lay out a plan to provide 24/7 staffing, security, on- and off-site support services, and trauma-informed care. Bidders must also outline a fair and transparent intake process, prioritizing low-barrier access. The contract will be awarded sometime in July. The city has targeted October 31st as the ideal date for partial occupancy, with a hard deadline of December 31st. Well, the city is creating a new task force to help identify gaps in animal services. Applications are now open for those who want to take part. The group will come up with concepts to improve local animal services. The city is looking for applicants with experience with veterinary work, rescue groups, or other animal welfare roles. They also want people with a genuine interest in collaborating to decide the future of animal services. City policy and research analyst Kristen Lovato-Day says the task force's work will be essential as the city reviews and reshapes its animal services model.
It's really important to the City of Thunder Bay that we work together and to the community so that all of our services can work together and fill in those gaps, so that we are looking to animal welfare and the well-being of our community. Our community is very pet-centric. We want to make sure that dogs and cats are well taken care of, and we are a part of that system, and so are the rescues and the other organizations, and we need to be able to collaborate.
Applications are open until June 16th. More information can be found on the city's website. Westgate High School held its annual flag raising in honor of Pride Month. Many staff and students were on hand, along with a very special guest speaker. Longtime community activist Adrienne Rosen took to the podium. She's the founding member of the Brunswick 4 activism group, which was a catalyst in changing police treatment of the queer community in Canada. She talked about the significance of standing up for your rights and unapologetically being who you are. Westgate student Charlie Bois also had the chance to share their story, along with teacher Austin Burr, who acted as the MC.
We did our Pride flag raising today. We did a bit more of a bigger ceremony this year than we've done in the past. And part of that was because we have so many students in the school community who find this kind of thing invigorating and kind of helps get them through the day when they might not be facing super supportive families at home.
I think it's important because it isn't over and things are still happening all over the place. People are getting hate crimed, and if somebody could see that and stand up for those people and fight for right, we could get better, and one day we can maybe have a world where there isn't any hate.
My message to the community is that it's time now to live an authentic life. Whoever you are, it's okay. Whoever you are, you're perfect. You were created this way to be who you are.
And that was the resounding message from the flag raising. We all have different identities and opinions, and that respect and kindness for one another go a long way. The second annual Autism Northwest Golf Tournament brought people together on the links today for a day of fun, community, and support for autism awareness. And there was also an adaptive golf clinic led by a two-time Emmy Award winner and the first disabled head PGA professional in America. Jessica Clement explains.
Golfers made their way to Fort William Country Club on Monday for Autism Northwest's second annual golf tournament. The funds go directly to the organization, which helps provide resources and opportunities for autistic individuals and their families in the community. Executive Director Mark Kale says they don't have a fundraising goal, explaining that the tournament is all about awareness.
I want more people to know that we're here, we're available. We run a support group as well since 2023 at the Habit coffee shop. And I want people to know that we're here and our hands on your shoulder. And the kids have showed me that impossible is just a word that's overused, because they continue to shatter the ceiling on what people perceive their expectations were of them.
Kale adds that their programs aren't just for children on the spectrum.
It's also sibling workshops. We're also going to roll out more focus on caregiver care, not just the support group, but outside. Events like this really get us through with funding, and we are able to support the whole family, not just the child that needs supports that is awaiting OAP funding.
Around 70 golfers, making up 18 teams, took part in the tournament. This year's event featured an adaptive golf clinic led by Alex Forey, a two-time Emmy Award winner and the first disabled head PGA professional in America. Forey was also involved in last year's tournament, and he says he's happy to be able to support such a great cause.
The lasting impact is going to be felt for a long time. But people are starting to know what Autism Northwest is all about. and the mission. And until me and Mark talk about it, I have a nonprofit as well. And as long as we stay on mission and we realize what the purpose of the end goal and the purpose of this is, I think this is going to be around a long time, and B, I think it's going to change a lot of lives.
The tournament also had a closest to the hole challenge with former TSN broadcaster Dan O'Toole. He says events like the golf tournament are key to bring the community together.
A lot of families, this news gets about the medical diagnosis gets sprung on them. They feel helpless. So when they know, holy, there's an entire community, and not only that, there's a community outside of our little pocket of the autism community that wants to support us. It's just a feel-good opportunity for the entire community, especially the autism community.
More information about Autism Northwest can be found on their website. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
The Italian Cultural Center hosted a flag-raising ceremony today for Italian Cultural Month, celebrating with food, Italian history, and traditional music and dance. The crowd on hand was treated to a performance by the La Stella Alpini dancers. Organizers estimate there are approximately 16,000 people of Italian descent in Thunder Bay, and the flag raising was held to celebrate that rich heritage. The president of the Alpini Dancing Group says passing on traditions to the youth is very important.
Yes, as a youth-run group, we are a dance group that really celebrates Italian culture and heritage, and it's mainly to support and recognize our Italian heritage, but also as proud Canadians. And Canada and its diversity, and that it is encouraged that we celebrate and pass on our traditions and share our culture with the country, and that is encouraged from all cultures that make up Canada, which is what makes us really special.
The federal government officially declared June as Italian Heritage Month back in 2017. A new project called Park Your Stories encourages aspiring writers to get together in local parks and to spend time writing about anything and everything in their lives. A launch party was recently held at Heath Park to kick off the monthly gatherings around the city. Jaden Billick has the story.
The Park Your Stories gatherings happen once a month and are free to attend and open to all ages for those who wish to write about their personal lives in local parks and green spaces, amongst others who share the same interests. Founder of Age Big, Nancy Angus says those who attended the launch event had a sneak peek as to what the next few months have in store in parks all across our city this summer.
It's a result of an Ontario Community Changemaker award that I received, and I love stories, and I wanted to get people taking advantage of our beautiful outdoor parks in Thunder Bay, and we write a few stories. We write usually 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then we share some of the stories together.
In honor of the day, students from the culinary course at Westgate High School were serving snacks and beverages, and a few other students got a chance to unveil 3 community benches they designed and painted, as well as a metal sign that will be cemented into the ground for the community to enjoy.
You can look forward to lots of colors in our benches. We also have themes for each one of our bench. My bench is following a blue jay theme that was inspired by Elder Eli's story about seeing a blue jay for the first time. It's a big opportunity to get out into the art world and help out with community.
I was thinking of having a positive quote for people to come and sit and enjoy themselves, especially after the pandemic, because people are scared to go out after that. Even though it's been so long, there might, if there's something in a park that they like to go see, it helps them get out of the house.
Angus says the people here are already creating new friendships.
People are learning so much about each other by just sharing some of their personal stories that they've written. So that's what we're excited about, is just to see how people can become friends with someone through stories.
The next Park Your Stories gathering will be held on Wednesday, July 23rd from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Central Avenue Natural Environment Gardens. And anyone interested can visit the Age Big website for more information. Jaden Billick, TBT News.
The Road Angels of Thunder Bay revved up for their second annual motorcycle rough ride and barbecue fundraiser yesterday, aiming to raise $3,000 for animals in need. The Road Angels and other motorcyclists gathered in the Harley-Davidson parking lot for the event, which benefits the Global Alliance for Animals and People. There was a barbecue lunch, door prizes, donations, and rough ride t-shirts. Hands to Paws North volunteer Nikki Burns says this fundraiser will help them sponsor a spay-neuter clinic in a northern First Nation.
It's an amazing group in Thunder Bay called the Road Angels. They hold fundraising events, and this year it happens that they're going to help sponsor, or we're raising funds for the Global Alliance for Animals and People. That's not a group that's in Thunder Bay, but they come up to Northern Ontario to do spay-neuter clinics in First Nation communities, and this particular event is helping to sponsor a clinic this September in Wapakika First Nation.
We are here today to support the Rough Ride. We're going to have a ride out the highway. We're going to end up out Kakabeka Road, Kakabeka Falls, finish up out there. And rain or shine, we're here to shine on and have a good time.
Burns says it's critical that fundraising groups hold events like this one to bring veterinary services to northern communities. All right, let's turn our attention to the weather now. And Fiona, we didn't get a lot of rain today, but it always kind of felt like we were on the verge of it.
Yes, and that's because it was all around us, not just not directly over us for much of the day. Temperature-wise, it certainly got nice and warm, relatively speaking. We start out with a low of 9, but we did warm up to 18 Celsius. That was under... Well, we started out with mist and drizzle, but for most of the day, it was mostly cloudy, and winds were very light for much of the day as well. Started out at about 4 kilometers per hour. At one point, topped out at about 20 k, but for the most part, it was in the low teens for much of the day, and primarily from the east. If we take a look at what's going on across the region at this hour, there's a lot of cloud to the west. Red Lake had periods of rain and drizzle throughout the day, and since about 2 a.m. this morning, they've been holding fairly steady between 10 and 12 Celsius, so really not much movement up to the northwest. Fort Frances, cloudy skies, did top out at 16 in the morning hours, but temperatures have been dropping most of the afternoon. They're currently at just 11. Now it warms up significantly into Sioux Lookout, Armstrong, Greenstone. Although they had a lot of clouds most of the day, they've started to see a little bit of a break in the cloud cover, and Sault Ste. Marie was mostly cloudy until about an hour ago, and they've suddenly got a thunderstorm. They topped out at 22, but the moment the thunderstorm hit, temperatures have dropped 6 degrees already. Here in the city of Thunder Bay tonight, we will stick with the double digits with a low of 10. And this evening, it's about a 70% chance of a shower, and then that tapers off. But in the overnight hours, there's still a risk of a thunderstorm, and there's going to be a fair amount of haze. So it might be kind of a gray start to Tuesday. That's with winds from the northwest starting out at about 40 kilometers an hour and then tapering off overnight. Now, Ryan, it's been kind of hit and miss with the rain popping up in different parts of the region. Tonight and tomorrow could still be pretty iffy, but if people can just hold on a little bit longer, we might see a little bit more sunshine by about midweek, and I'll have more on that later on in the NewsHour.